Ed Sheeran in reggae style. Thinking out loud. Big tune. Yes, reggae style, man. I tell you always, reggae always put a little hedge on the tune them. No care how sweet them is before, but when it come to the reggae vibes, it have a little hedge. We want to present a tune here where a group of African artists come together. We talk about Africans who actually, we call them continental Africans, who come together and just like the We Are the World song, well, this is the African artists' contribution to the Ebola crisis that hit Africa. So we want to play this tune here by a group of, as we say, African artists singing about the Ebola crisis. Here goes. Ebola in Africa. Them say, Africa, stop Ebola. Yes. All right. You know, say them, well, this week is designated Islamic Awareness Week. And we really need some awareness about Islam in Jamaica. Because there's so much things are going on in the world, you know, that one would want to demonize people who claim Islam as them religion. Well, we know better, you know, because we know so them demonize Rasta over the years and we persevere and reach us now. So we now go through miseducation or propaganda cause us to really eat out against a religion that is the fastest rising religion in the world right now. You understand? Islam. So, in recognizing Islam Awareness Week, we want to talk to, interview brethren from the Islamic Council in Jamaica. Because you know that they have a group of a community of Muslims in Jamaica, and this week no better time to really talk to them. Let's talk about different things, you know what I mean, misconceptions, the different belief system, and why it is necessary to have an Islamic week. Well, we know why it is necessary to have an Islamic week still, because most Jamaican people, all them hear about is that when them hear Islam, them associate terrorism with Islam. We see where the Jamaican government have a little youth here right now under wraps in custody because the Surinamese say he was going to go through a land like the young people them in England and America, especially females, who's making that trek now to go and join ISIL in Syria. So them have a gateway through either France, Germany, Holland, and them go through Turkey and go up on the border there and end up in Syria, joining ISIL and become what them call terrorists. Well, this youth was purported to be going there when he was held hold him in a Suriname. I don't know how the hell Suriname come in at this thing here, but I guess maybe he never have an American visa. I don't know. He did have to go through one country for reach another country. Because we know artists who left and can't go America and them end up all in a Panama for reach Africa. Yeah, the other day we go to Gambia and artists never did they have American visa. They have to reroute them through Panama, France, and then into Africa. You understand? So maybe we don't know, but I hear the family say them go and go sue. But them hold on upon the youth still, but I know why them hold on upon the youth, you know, because the youth like that now, if them get any inclination that this is what is happening, you know, so they have to bring some American down here to interrogate him too. Yeah, them people there. Now, let him go until some American involvement get in there. But the weirdest part of the thing, you know, when I youth, it's a black power. Before the Rasta time, it's a black power. And we used to move among some man who had defend black power. And in a them time there, which it's still banned, still, you know, but them can't come lock you up now for your Marcus Garvey philosophy and opinions. Or an autobiography of Malcolm X. Then can't come tell you them and lock you up for that. Oh. You know, see, but it's still illegal. It's like a D. Lawrence book. You know, them used to them say D. Lawrence book is a banned book. But we read so much D. Lawrence book, and I read so much Black Power book that it crazy. Anyway, in my school days now, we used to go among some man who are just that. We are read autobiography of Malcolm X, Soul and Eyes, Wretched of the Earth. You know, Black Skin, White Mass, Franz Fanon, all of them book there were the Black Jacobin, all of them book there were anything with Black Shearer, the minister, the man with the $5,000 bill when nobody no use. Shearer say, him a ban them book there. No, me did have some of them book there in my yard, you know. We did have some of them book there in my yard, and we used to have a little organization where we meet up in Apache City at Duane Park. I think at Duane Park. The police, them go up, they go raid the place and take out the book. Them never lock up nobody still, but them go up, they go raid. I will if a man who listen to me and don't know what me I talk about. Anyway, my mother here said that up there, you know, my mother know. My mother go search all of my book them we have, you know, and carry them go the gully, go throw them, you know. Yeah, dog at James Street Gully, that's how we used to live in Alman Town there. James Street Gully, we used to run borders. Again, those of you who know how they get to life, live with the youth them in them days there. Borders. We used to run borders in the gully. When the gully water come down in the gutter, I even a gutter to pan sidewalk. We have some little wood where we shape in some little diamond, like diamond shape, and paint them different color. And we drop them in the water with a race, borders. Everybody drop like 4 away, 5 away, have a little borders, and we are going like a boat race are going in the water. Anyway, my mother go down James Street Gully, which is James Street Gully we used to go down in a road, run borders, and take the book them out of fear. And go dump the book there. Yeah, that's right, I dump the book there. Alright. The reason why I bring up that now, you know, the reason why I bring up this now is that I am seeing where, after them catch the youth, him supposed to come from St. Mary here, and them go him house and find a Quran. And that is now, this is the problem now. Because I don't know where going, you know. I just list where I read in the newspaper. Them find the Quran in him house, and that is supposed to now legitimize him to be a terrorist. No, I don't do it, you know. I tell a man from down, you know. I tell policeman from down, you know. Me have enough of the book in my yard. Me have enough Islamic literature in my yard. Me don't have nothing to do with terrorism. And if right now the Quran is a terrorist book, and if people find in a yard with terrorist book now, you are deemed terrorist, then boy, I don't know where it happen. Because that sound like the guys them who kill the Christian them because them are Christian. So you got demonize a man now because him have a Quran in his house. So what you say about the Bible now? Because the Bible has done more harm to the psyche of black people than the Quran has ever done. I mean, I legitimize the Quran, but we just say, we have to balance the thing. Me remember incident with Marcus Garvey Jr. at Kingston Technical High School. After where Marcus Garvey buttoned them with the red, black, and green. And we was very proud as youth. And we wear red, black, and green. I have Marcus Garvey Jr. in the school, Kingston Technical High School. The principal did side say, him no want the color there in him school, so I'm going to tell everybody, say, must take off the red, gold, and the red, black, and green button, or else you're going to get detention. And I'm going to detention too, you know. If you come in at the school with the button, you either take it off or stay outside. Well, Marcus Garvey Jr. never take it too lightly. You know what him do? Him say, this is Marcus Garvey Jr. we are talking about, the first son of Marcus Garvey, the first national hero of Jamaica, teaching at Kingston Technical High School. Marcus Garvey Jr. said, look you know, you see, if my father button can't wear at the school, no button no for wear at the school, and him go around and take off all the Kingston Technical button them off of the people in heaven. You know see, any button, whether Jamaican flag upon it, Whether it was KTH, SR, anything, him take it off. So that was really a thing. So I don't know if this is now going to be problematic. Where if you have a Quran in your house, you're liable to get a check. Or you're liable to find a surveillance. Because I now forget where my boy tell me, you know, big police, where Mr. Where the policeman name again? Adams. I remember, I now forget Adams, you know. It jump out time out, you know. Adams said, sure. Me remember when you used to live a garden town, we used to surveil, we used to have you under surveillance, you know. I mean, you're good boy. Me not take them to the lightly, you know. Me not take them to the lightly because he was one main policeman. And fit that jump out time out, you know, say, most of when you live a garden town, you know, we used to have you under surveillance, you know. But yeah, you're good boy. Well, me I tell you, say, and me no free some under surveillance still, you know. Because me know what me I say. Me know what me saying. Me very conscious of what me saying. I mean I say forget no props or forget radicality, but me I come from my heart and me I say. If I desolate then now, I desolate I forgot there. Because a whole heap of people in a medieval times, if them catch you with the Bible, Christian me are talking, because the Bible wasn't written for normal people that read it, you know. It's like in Ethiopia, you know. The book, the Bible, what them call Bible in Ethiopia first time was written in Gez. Right? And what is that? It's only the high priest them, it's only the priest them could have read it. So the normal man couldn't read because he don't understand Gez. He understand Amharic. A Haile Selassie come and say, watch a man. We're going to put the Bible in a language where the majority of people know. So him put the Bible from Gez to Amharic. Well, it's the same way in Europe now, that the Bible actually never write for like Neil read it. You know, see, it right to be translated to Neil, that Neil can say, oh, that's how it goes. So he never have a chance to read it himself. So the guy who had translated can tell him any foolishness. And if a slave, this is not joking on Neil, if a slave was caught reading in a slavery days, him liable to get lynched. A slave would have to hide and read, you know. Much less the Bible. No, that not tolerated. Bible thing not tolerated. Cutting edge. We don't talk about Islam, and we don't talk about how the book, the Quran, seemed to be going where the Bible was in Europe, where if you were caught reading the Bible, and it's not only slavery too, you know, but also in Europe, because you know you have peasants, them call them peasants in Europe, or pagan. People have this thing about the word pagan. Pagan is farmers in Europe who used to look at nature as them, because them is planters, them seek them salvation through nature. So them never follow the Pope or the God of Rome or the Jewish tradition or Jesus. Them family, just like all the African, them have them own religious perspective. Like animism. Animism is the belief that even inanimate objects have a spirit. Even a stone is living. Well, in Europe, the pagans were a group of people who look upon nature and recognize nature. But over the years, Christianity demonized anything that is not Christian. And you were killed, burnt at the stake, or your head chopped off because you was not a Christian, and especially if you was not on the auspices of the Pope of Rome. And you find a lot of people break away from the Catholic Church. I should say the Roman Catholic Church. and farm them own thing. And I keep mentioning two people on this program, Henry VIII. Henry VIII wanted to do something. I think he did want to marry and divorce. And them never sanctioned it. And Henry VIII break away from the papacy and farm something that we now call the Anglican Church. Then you have a German named Martin Luther, not to be mixed up and confused with Martin Luther King, the black man from America, but a German by the name of Martin Luther. Him start to declare, say, the Pope is the mother of all lots. Rome, the Roman Catholic Church. And him break away and form the Protestants. As you know about the Protestant Church. The Protestant Church protests against Rome as their designated head. So all of these people and others, including the Muslims and the Jews in Spain, and one of the reasons why the Inquisition was started, it was started against the Moors and the Jews in Spain, Granada to be exact. And the Queen and King of Spain, King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella, started the Spanish Inquisition in 1492. Same time when Columbus ventured to this part of the world. There was a thing named the Inquisition taking place in Europe, where you were called to the Inquisitor. And the Inquisitor, this word inquisitive. And the Inquisitor, this word inquisitive, coming from them time that where the Inquisitor is like a judge, jury, and executioner. Or you have some inquisitive people who would inform the Inquisitor that you were doing things outside of the Roman Catholic idea that the Pope would not sanction. So you will be called and tortured. A whole heap of people get tortured because them feel say you're a devil worshipper, and them call you to sacrifice, not sacrifice, to torture you and tell you must confess your sins. And if you don't confess your sins, the torture was placed on you more and more and more. And you know, if you're getting too torture, you want the torture to stop. You go and say, yes, me did I worship the devil. And then them say, me did I tell you say I worship the devil all the while and still kill you. The people are easy, you know. Now we see that these groups in the name of Islam is coming with the same thing when medieval Europe used to do. And sometimes when people point finger, they must remember that the exact thing them where these ISIL and Boko Haram do is the same thing them the Christian them used to do. Don't make nobody tell you nothing different. If you tell them to Muta Baruka say that. That the same exact thing that ISIL, where them have again? Taliban, who them have again? Al-Qaeda, Boko Haram, and any other, where them call extremist group coming in the name of Islam. The same thing where them do, are the same thing Europeans used to do to people who them call non-believers. That is how them chase the Jews and the Muslims out of Spain. So now we have a situation arise now where more and more people is moving towards Islam, the fastest rising religion. But meanwhile, it is rising in one sense. It is gaining enemies in the next sense because a group of people use it to facilitate their fundamentalism and has spread all over the place in the name of Allah. So now you have some people in Jamaica not to be mixed up with the black Muslims under the auspices of Louis Farrakhan. The black Muslims started 1935, I think, 1930, when a man named Farad, who them claim is the representative of Allah on earth, made a divine manifestation to a man named Elijah Muhammad. And Elijah Muhammad became what we call now the revealer of the black man redemption in America. Thus, the nation of Islam are the black Muslims. But you have a group of people that is not connected with the black Muslims. They are what I call Orthodox Islam, where they follow the international way of talking about from the Quran. They interpret the Quran as an orthodox Islam. You have some people who use the interpretation of the Quran with Arab culture and start to give a different kind of face to Islam. So all of these things we want to really talk to the Islamic Council of Jamaica about. And it is the Islamic Awareness Week is from Monday the 20th to Sunday the 26th. And the theme is ISIS crisis, the Islamic position. So you see, without even seeing this paper, you know, we just realize they want to deal with the ISIL crisis, the Islamic position. What is the Islamic position as it pertains to ISIL? And on Monday the 20th, which gone, I think them did have a public exhibit, Islam and Muslim culture, and then them did have a street dawa, population center, island wide. Wednesday the 22nd, them supposed to have a Turkey River Park public lecture. I don't know if them will have it today or Wednesday, right? Friday, them going to have a Friday khutbah. So we're going to find out what is a khutbah. I don't know what is a khutbah. Khutbah. And then Saturday, they're going to have a public lecture at Port Maria Community Center. And Sunday, they're going to have a public lecture in the Jamaican Conference Center. So that is what we're going to talk about tonight. You know them way there? Yes, you know, we have a heavy load of carrier, but we are going through. We prefer there so not carry two that sit down and move. You know them way there? Yeah. It's like an attack, you know, you have an attack like a woman where I have where them call that thing where them sweat. Where them call the thing where woman has sweat name again. Eh? So, what them calling the one that sweat? What them calling? Oh, nobody not answer me. No. When them can't pick me again and them start to sweat. Menopause. Oh God, you see? 4 away here and the man answer me. But two of them don't want me to say it on the radio. Alright, I'm going to say it. Menopause. Right. You know, when a woman have menopause, she feel hot sometime and then go away and then feel hot again. When me in that mood, you know, on another level, you understand? Like sometimes it just come over me and then it just go away and it just come back over me and things. So, we do the program, but my hope say it not come over me like we do the program. Because I way when it come over me, it's like, it's another me that. So, me just say, yeah. Other way the way they pan you know, with the pan a thing where something just come over you and then it just go away, but it linger and it keep coming over you. Cutting edge. You find a religion where the we over in Africa there with some man where no wear shoes and dreadlocks. Believe you, and them not have nothing to do with Rasta. You just travel and you just find some man where no wear shoes and dreadlocks. And them not have nothing to do with Rasta. man is in a Germany, you know. And the man, them come on the show, them hear about Mutabaruka, them get to Mutabaruka now wear shoes, and they come on the show, you know, them, you can't tell them, say me a Rasta, you know. Them say, me, a Sheikh Amadou Bamba send me. Yes, them say a Sheikh Amadou Bamba send me because them don't know no other man will walk barefoot anywhere other than Sheikh Amadou Bamba. So them say, yes, a Sheikh Amadou Bamba send me. Well, we know that Sheikh Amadou Bamba send me still, but you understand? Man take me from my shoe and carry me go a place to go show me the strength and power of what them would have want call powers. Powers, but we don't call it no powers still, because we can't go around all of them something there. You understand? But it feel good if you know, say, you have a group of man, we in Africa there. We say, Mutabaruka, you are one away. You are one away. You understand? And from that, every time we go to Senegal, you know, me have to go. Every time, all matter of fact, me there Gambia too. And get message say, me have to go to Senegal. So, me love them brethren there. Me love them brethren there because them have a certain levity. And them is not orthodox Muslim, you know. Because them create them own concept of Islam out of them experience. Just like how the black Muslim create them own kind of Islam out of them experience. These brethren, the Bafal brethren, them is Muslim, but not, you're not going to see them behave like how you have the Arab thinking Muslim them thing. You understand? Them not in no Arab culture, them in them Senegalese tribal culture fused with Islam. So when you go out of them places, you know, when you go out of them places, you think say one bingy you go, you know. Because the man in my fire burn with and a beat, jump and a chant the whole night till morning. Just a chant, just turn up and just a chant. I'm there at the place and I think, say, but wait. This come like a bingy to me because when you look at the whole of the man, them have pure dreadlocks in there. None of them are no Rasta. And them not allow you to wear shoes on them bingy ground. You have to take off your shoes outside, in the yard, and come inside of the place. And you sit down in there, you marvel at these things, man. You marvel at these things. If you really know, say, yeah, experience this. Yeah, experience this in another place, in another part of the earth. And you say, oh gosh, man, may I tell you, cultures in cultures in cultures in cultures. People call themselves Muslims, them Sufi, S-U-F-I, Sufi. Sufi is a more, I don't want to say sophisticated kind of Islam, but it have a kind of expression that way soft. Yeah, soft, Sufi. I guess all the when them call them ISIL people, they don't want to be all them man the Sufi man. No, I tell you, religion, strange religion. It's a very strange thing. Next holiday I come around, the holiday them not done. I don't understand how the alright, I don't understand nothing. Alright. We have on the phone line here, Sheikh Dr. Abdullah Hakim. We want to say, Salam alaikum.
Yes, walaikum salam, my brother.
Give thanks, man. Give thanks.
Yes.
Okay. First of all, you live in Jamaica?
Yeah. I'm originally an African American with Eastern Caribbean roots.
Okay.
My wife is from retirement, St. Anne's Parish, and we came back to Jamaica in 1981. For 4 years, I lived in Jamaica. And I was one of the founders of the Islamic Council of Jamaica, and all over the island. And yeah, for 4 years I lived in Jamaica.
Yeah, all right. So you is the first I say doctor in front of Sheikh for somebody. Explain what kind of doctor you are, and explain to the Jamaican people who is a Sheikh.
Okay, a Sheikh is somebody who qualifies in an Islamic university. And so I lived in Saudi Arabia in the holy city of Medina, and I I learned Arabic language, and I was the first American to graduate from any university in the Arabian Peninsula. So when you graduate, then they give you the title Sheikh, right? Which means a person who's a knowledgeable person. But later on, I continued my studies, and I did a master's and a PhD from the University of Toronto in Canada. But my field was West African history, and I traveled through Nigeria, and I used my Arabic language to go into the writings of the great scholars and leaders in West Africa before the colonial period. And
that means you studied man like Sheikh Anta Diop and these people.
Yeah, somewhat, yeah, Anta Diop, but the great Sheikh Ousmane Denfodio, and Haj Umar Tall, and these are some people. But I've known, I knew Dr. Ivan Van Sertima. I traveled to the pyramids, went down into the temples. I lived in South Africa for 10 years. I traveled all over the southern region of South Africa, Zimbabwe, Mozambique, Malawi, Lesotho, Swaziland. My wife, Karima, Jamaican, was with me. We worked inside the African townships, Soweto, Mamelodi, the major townships of South Africa. So I got a chance to see a lot of things, in the world, and that has been a great blessing to me. But I always remember my time that I spent in Jamaica was a beautiful time, that I had spent, with the brethren.
Yeah, all right. Just to start what we want to ask you. A while ago, I just mentioned a group of people named the Sufi. If you can, could you tell the people what makes the Sufi different from the Orthodox Islam?
Okay, Muslim, the word Muslim means one who submits to the will of God. And so, Muslims are people, we believe that the original prophets, Moses, Abraham, Jesus, they were all submitted to God. So the word Muslim just means one who submits to God. The last prophet we are taught was the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, who was a cousin of Jesus and Moses from the family of Abraham, but on the side of Hagar. And so this is where the Muslims comes in. Now, amongst the Muslims, the early Muslims, there were people who were very spiritual people. They spent most of their time in prayers and in fasting, and they were concerned with the spiritual matters. So when you say a Sufi is supposed to be a person, who is a spiritual mystic, a mystical type of person. So it's only an aspect of Islam.
But the Sufis, you call them, the Ayman, we call them shamans and things, but it's Sufi, where you actually find Sufis? Is there a place in Africa or on the Arabian Peninsula where you'd find the Sufis practicing that aspect of Islam?
Yeah, Sufis, you find them in all the societies, because the Sufi is just somebody, who's focusing on the spiritual part, within Islam, the mystical part. Some of them become, shamans, and people like that. But other ones are just mainly trying to solve the problems of the heart, how people come closer to God and whatnot. So you will find Sufi groups, which are in all over West Africa, East Africa, along with the other mainstream groups. A Sufi is a Muslim. All of the Sufis are Muslims, but not all the Muslims are Sufis.
Yeah, we understand that. Just like the Bafals. You have the Bafals are Muslim, but not all Muslims are Bafals.
Right. Right.
You know the Bafals. You have experienced the Bafals, especially in Senegal. I don't know if you know of them.
You have the Tijani. There's a group called Tijani.
No, we're talking about the Bafals now, out of Senegal.
Right. So Senegal, you have the Muridiya, and Tijaniya. These are two big Sufi movements that are there. They're like brotherhoods. So maybe the Bafals, it may be connected to the Murids.
Yes, all right.
Because the Murids leader, his name was Ahmed Bamba.
Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba.
Yeah, Ahmadou Bamba. He was a great leader. And he taught his people that they should not only be spiritual, but they should also have businesses.
Yes.
So the murids are very organized. They have a collective way of doing business all over the world. I came in contact with the murids in South Africa. They invited me to their place, and I met them and met their leaders. And, they're all over the world. Anytime you see Senegalese people, you will see either the Tijaniya or the Muridiya. These are like brotherhoods, major brotherhoods in Senegal itself.
Okay, all right. Now we have a next group that is a very large group from where you come from, and that's what they call the Nation of Islam.
Right.
Now, we know that the Nation of Islam are Muslims, but not all Muslims are from the Nation of Islam.
True.
So you're going to explain to the people what makes the Nation of Islam different from the Orthodox Islam.
Okay. The Nation of Islam came out of the followers of Marcus Garvey. And as you know, Marcus Garvey had Black Consciousness movement, and his teacher, Dus Muhammad Ali, was a Sudanese. And so within these teachings, there were individuals, who took it a step further after the Garvey movement, had started to break down. And so Elijah Muhammad, he met a man from the East called Farad Muhammad. And so he combined the teachings of Marcus Garvey with Christianity and with Islam. And then he came up with a version of Islam that is not actually the same as the original. It's really, I would say, 2/3 the teachings of Marcus Garvey. Because you'll see that the teachings of the Nation of Islam is focusing on know yourself, do for self, have respect of your roots. But Elijah Muhammad, because, he didn't travel in the East, he came up with a theory, which was different than anybody else had ever, taught before. He said that Allah was a man, that this person, Farad, who came to America, was actually Allah. But we believe Allah is the creator and not a human being.
Not a human being. Yeah.
He also claimed that he was the last prophet. And that was also totally against the mainstream, because we believe that Muhammad ibn Abdullah, 1400 years ago, was the last prophet. But what Elijah taught was, because, black people in the West, because the pains of slavery, because slavery took away our identity and our consciousness, that in order for a person to be a Muslim, to join the international community of Islam, they had to first go through what he called the first resurrection. And the first resurrection is the knowledge of self, the love of yourself, to gain respect. And then they taught that there would be a second resurrection where they would join the mainstream of Islam.
Okay.
And so Elijah taught that all of his life. But Malcolm X, Al-Hajj Malik Shabazz, who was one of his strongest followers, he actually left the Nation of Islam and he became an Orthodox, Muslim.
After traveling.
Right, after traveling and then seeing that Islam was not, connected only to black people in the West, but it was an international phenomenon. And then later on, Waris ad-Din Muhammad, the son of Elijah, he brought the teachings, back to the original Islam, and he made the statement that God was not a man, and that his father was not the last prophet. So there's a struggle in the movement.
Yeah, because Farrakhan continued that Elijah Muhammad philosophy.
Right. So Farrakhan goes sort of back and forth. At some points he will appear like a mainstream Muslim. At other points, he will appear as a follower of Elijah Muhammad. My teachings, in Jamaica and other places and many other Muslim teaching is that we need roots. I believe from my own background as an African American, that, we must have respect for ourselves. We must know our identity. We must learn our languages and learn our roots. But we don't have to make up stories about spaceships and things like that. We can go into African history. And that is the reason why I studied African history. I lived on the African continent for 10 years, traveled throughout the different lands to bring back these teachings, to our people in an authentic way. So we can really be connected to the African continent.
Right.
I traveled to Ethiopia as well. I made a documentary movie about Ethiopia that was shown in South Africa on national television 12 times. And so in traveling there, we found that, we can gain our roots through authentic knowledge, through really traveling in Africa, really learning the languages of the people, and, without having to make up something that is not actually, grounded in,
let me ask you a question, because I myself have traveled through Africa, and most of the Africans that I connect with are Muslims.
Right.
But what I find is that there is a confusion when it comes on to the liberty of Islam amongst black people, because we see what is happening is that Islam in Africa is fused with Arab culture, and I think what is not precise and definitive is the idea that Arab culture is different from Islam, but because of the Arab influence on Islam, you find that a lot of people adopt Arab culture and say it is Islamic culture. One of the things is like women don't drive car in Arabia.
Right.
And people. Wait. Let me say something about ISIL. ISIL and groups like Al Qaeda, like Al Qaeda, like the Taliban, has fused Islam with Arab culture, where the woman is not supposed to be educated, and they use the Quran to validate these perceptions. Well, I personally know that this is not Islam, but it is Arab culture that is being defined. You can elaborate on that.
Yes, Islam is a way of life, and it is not an Arab way of life, because we believe that, prophets came to every nation and every tribe. So the belief in one God is not something which is special to Semitic people, but it's something that, people all around the world have believed in. But the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he was an Arab, but he surrounded himself with Ethiopians, Persians, Romans, all types of people. So he was teaching principles, and he was showing to the people, don't follow me as an Arab, just follow the principles, that I have. But what happened over the centuries, especially after the colonial period, when the Muslim countries were dominated and controlled, when Africa was raped, and when the colonization happened, that because of the economic problems and because of the oil being found in the Arab lands, and the Western powers using the Arabs now to colonize, Africa and Arabia again a second time, because the money and the influence came to the poorer African nations. So people followed the Arabs not because they're following Islam, but because the Arabs, have, more development, and they have money, that is in their hands. The real reality of Islam is it's not Arab culture. And much of Arab culture is totally against Islam. Because a woman in Islam is supposed to be an independent person. A woman is supposed to be educated. The first person to accept Islam, the Prophet's wife Khadijah, was a woman. The first person to die for Islam, Sumayya, was a woman. The second most learned person in Islamic history, Aisha, the Prophet's wife, was a woman. So women played a very important role. And what we teach in the West is, you cannot come into our culture, African, Caribbean, American culture, and then say the woman is nothing. The woman can't drive. Because slavery period, the woman was the one who saved our culture. It was the woman, for most of us, who was the father and the mother in the family. It was the woman who was the foundation of, our black, our African society within the West. So how can somebody come along now and say that a woman is nothing? That's completely against the teachings of Islam. But the unfortunate thing is that many of our people, we blindly imitate other people, especially those who are ashamed of themselves. And so as African people, some of them became Pakistani, some of them became Turkish, some of them became Arab, instead of going back to their own roots, in Africa, and finding the teachings of Islam, in that environment. So this is our struggle now, to separate the culture where you have, suicide bombings and innocent people being killed. That has nothing to do with the original teachings of Islam. To separate that, which is based on, the geopolitical situation in the Arab world, the terrible, confusion in Iraq and Syria and Afghanistan. The people are traumatized, and so the people are reacting in strange ways. But we have to separate what Islam is from the reaction of people who are angry and confused, because of a colonial foreign policy within their country. So this is what we are teaching the people, to try to make it very clear, that Islam is a way of life, that the average person on the ground who wants to, run their family, live a good life, kind to their neighbors, clean up their eating habits, clean up their mind, organize their family, respect for the woman, belief in God, prayer, fasting. This is the basis of what Islam is. Okay. All these other things are political movements.
All right. What I find too, which is really astonishing to me personally, is that you meet an African, a West African especially, and he has an African name. But when he become Muslim, he change it to an Arab name. And I find that with most Muslims who are Africans, whether in this part of the world, America, so they prefer to choose an Arab name over an indigenous African name. Right.
But you see, what they're supposed to do, nobody is supposed to change their family name. What they do is that because the Quran, which is, we believe, is the last, scripture, the last testament, it was revealed in the Arabic language. So the names of the prophets and the descriptions of God, these are beautiful names in the Arabic language. So people, take these names not because they want to be Arabs. Because if you take a name, for instance, like Musa, that's Moses. If you take a name like Isa, that's Jesus. They're not Arabs.
Yeah, but you have English name that represent good things. I mean, like you can call a lot of English name, but they don't take English name when they become Christians. There's a deliberate attempt to become Arab by naming yourself Arab than when you say if you name. All right, in other words, there are more Africans who have African name that is Christian, that don't change their name to British, than Muslims who is African that make them African names here because they change it to Arab.
Right, because the thing is that it's not the Arab people themselves now. This is a fine point. It's the Quran, because the Quran is in the original form, and that is the difference between the Quran and the other scriptures. So because the Quran is in the original form, learning Arabic, it's like God's talking directly to you. So people, want the Arabic language because of the revelation, not because of the Arabs.
No, I know, but the name, the Arab name, even though the Quran does not insist on you changing your name to an Arab name, but
no,
but Africans change a name to Arab name, believing that they will be more identified with the Quran if they have an Arab name.
Right. But the key thing is, like you say, nobody is supposed to change their name. The followers of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, none of his followers changed their name. There was one person named Abdul Shams, who was the slave of the sun. So the Prophet said, no, change your name to Abdul Rahman, which means the slave of God, who's the most generous.
Yeah, but there were Arabs already.
Otherwise, nobody changed their names.
No, but these people who Muhammad was speaking to were Arabs already.
Right.
Yeah, so they don't need to change their name to English again. You know what I mean? Like, no, but I'm saying that Africans who have them indigenous name, when they become Muslims, reading the Quran, they change the name to Arab name.
Right, but for instance, the scholar that I studied in West Africa, his name was Sheikh Uthman Danfodio. Okay, so Danfodio in the Fulani language means the son of a scholar.
Yes.
But that's Fulani. Yes. That is not Arabic.
Yeah, I know.
You see? So what he did was, Uthman, that is an Arab name of a very famous person, the third caliph in Islam. Mm-hmm. So the father called him Uthman, but they kept the family name Danfodio.
So you wouldn't agree with me that most Muslims change the name to Arab name, even though they have African name? You wouldn't agree with me?
I would agree that, people do, not just Africans, Chinese, Indian, all the nationalities. But what I'm trying to tell you is that the reason why they're doing that, and they're given names, is because they want to identify with International
Islam.
Brotherhood of Islam and the Quran.
Yes.
Not the Arabs, because the Arabs only make up about 15% of the Muslim world. 85% of Muslims are not Arabs.
Yeah.
They don't speak Arabic.
Yes.
But they want to identify with the Quran.
Yes.
So what we teach people here today is that if you want to change your name, don't change your family name.
Yes.
Because your family is your roots.
Yeah.
Right? But you have two given names. Like my given name was Ronald and Kenneth, and the last name was Quick. Right? I mean, that's a slave name anyway, right?
Yes.
Because it wasn't originally from Africa.
Yeah, definitely.
But still, because Quick is our family, so I said, no, I'll call myself Abdullah Hakim Quick.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep my family name.
All right. I have a thing about it. What I have always maintained from school is that even though I know that I have an English name, but it's my mother give me it.
That's right.
And I decide that I am going to give myself a name, but I will still pay respect to my mother by holding on the name that she chose. Because the name that she chose is the name that my father had.
Exactly.
Which is a very weird thing, because my given name from my mother is Alan Hope. But also my father's name was also Alan Hope. But when I become very conscious of myself, and I started to say, all right, I am going to give myself my name. And I decided I would give myself this name. But when I look at it, I say, in to due respect to, as you just say, the family, even though they were very unconscious about the African perception and perspective, I said, all right, I'm going to just go and hold on that still. But most people know me as Musa Baruka.
Right.
So that is really, so I really can't see through that, but I still maintain that I don't see no black American who is Muslim giving themselves African name. I don't see it. I don't see nobody doing that. No black American who is Muslim. I don't see them giving themselves African name. Most of them, I see them give themselves Arab name. But I understand where you're coming from still. All right. The ISIL thing seems to be a problematic thing right now in the perceptions of Muslims in the West here and otherwise.
Right.
But I want to talk about it because these people seem to be gaining grounds in the perception of young people in this part of the world. Why is it that you think that young people from England and American thing want to fuse themselves with this group that is deemed a terrorist group when they have Islam around them every day?
Right.
But they are not.
I'm going to answer this directly because I have great respect for you and the work that you've done.
Yes.
The basis of this problem is the foreign policy of the West, in the Muslim countries.
Yes.
And because of the destruction that had happened in Iraq, where they claimed to have weapons of mass destruction, but there was no weapons.
Yes.
And because of so many people dying because of sanctions and what happened in Afghanistan, you have a whole generation of people who have what I call, the Americans say PTSD. Is where a person has traumatic. It's like a trauma. Like when you go to a wartime situation, you lose control of your mind, and you become like a mad person, and you will do all types of strange things. So there's a whole generation now in Iraq and now in Syria and in that area who have this type of distorted look. Where the problem is that they are using the banner of resistance, to Western domination, that we will stand. We are the only ones who will stand up, for, what's happening. And that's why, a lot of young people are getting caught up. The scholars of Islam wrote to ISIS, and they said, who are you, man? You don't have any scholars with you. You don't kill innocent people. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said very clearly, if you go into a wartime situation, you cannot kill innocent people. You cannot kill non-combatants. You must leave monks and rabbis in their monasteries and their churches. You do not destroy property. If the enemy wants peace, give them peace. ISIS is doing the opposite. They're killing Christians. They mostly kill other Muslims. And so their policy, they are saying one thing, but they're doing the opposite. But the problem with a lot of young people today, especially with internet and with these communications, they're angry, and, they feel there's no justice coming from the West. And, they have ISIS said they have a nice internet, type of communication.
Yeah.
It looks like, like a challenging, daring type of thing.
They like the excitement.
It's excitement.
All right, look here. You think that there is a certain amount of disillusionment with Islam, just like how a lot of people is disillusioned with Christianity. The young people seem to be disillusioned with Islam, where they see their parents saying this thing and have got nowhere. And now they see a group of people coming to the fore and saying, look here now, Western civilization has corrupted and influenced us to the point where now we don't see how to get out of it.
That's
Boko
right.
Haram. The meaning of Boko Haram is Western education is a sin. So let's say this westernization of our minds has corrupted young people to the point where now young people is recognizing that their minds are corrupt. So they choose a way out, and one of the way out is to associate themselves with this group who is fighting what they would call Western thinkers, because even Muslims too think Western. So maybe these youth is seeing a way out through ISIL, or you see that?
That's right. So what is happening is that, it happens in many extreme groups. There was a person named Jim Jones who took the people to Guyana, and he poisoned them.
Them drink the poison themselves.
Right.
If tell them to do it and them do it, them just drink the poison.
Right, but when they drank the poison, they thought they was going to heaven.
Yes.
So the same thing with ISIL. They are talking about, Armageddon. They're talking about the apocalypse.
Yes.
That's how they talk.
Yes.
So they're saying this is the end of time. And so when they use this end of time type preaching, and they say there's an Armageddon that is going to happen in the world, join the Armageddon before it's too late. And so when the young people see that, and they get interested, the problem is when they get over there,
it's a different thing.
They see people, innocent people, being killed and beheaded.
Yeah.
And many of them say, "I want to go home."
And them can't come. Them can't go home.
They're like gangsters, man. Like you don't leave the gang.
Yes. Or die if you leave.
That's right.
All right. So you don't see that there's that similarity between American conservative Christians who is saying Armageddon too, because these so-called Western Christian minds, who's very conservative, they are using wartime persuasions and say politics, but it's really Christianity them pushing.
That's right.
You don't think that is the same thing? I mean, when you look at ISIL and when you look at these conservative Christians in America, it's the same position them take.
It's the same thing. And like what we're saying is that now innocent people, Muslims and other people, but especially us, we're caught between two extremes. On the one side, is the racist, right-wing, militaristic, people who are killing, black people like in Ferguson, Missouri, and, putting
like the one yesterday too.
That's right, all over, and putting, the majority of black youth today are being put into the prisons. And what we actually are finding out now, I went into a maximum security prison in Baltimore, and the prisoners were actually they were making Nike running shoes. They were working for about 17.
Yeah, it's like slavery. It's like free slave labor.
It's a modern day slavery.
Yes, yeah. All right, just a minute. This is the Cutting Edge on RFM. This Islamic Awareness Week in Ika, and we're going to go through the pieces with the brethren. Take Dr. Abdullah Hakim, and this is deemed Islam awareness, and we're trying to really get a more deeper understanding of what is Islam and how it relates to the world affairs, the views that is taking place now, especially with this group, ISIL, which is claiming authority on the Islamic way of life. Yes, sir. You still there?
Yes, I'm still here.
All right. Mm-hmm. We was talking about ISIL and how the young people them gravitating toward it, and I was saying that maybe it's because of the disillusionment of Islam, just like how a lot of people disillusioned with Christianity, and they say that ISIL is a more what they would feel a more revolutionary, militant form of ISIL, so they gravitate towards it. So the message that the Islamic Council of Jamaica have, what is this message as it relates to ISIL in Jamaica?
So basically, what the Islamic Council and other major Islamic groups are saying is that, ISIS has been rejected, by the Muslim world. The scholars of the Muslim world have rejected it because the methods that they're using, in terms of executing people and punishing Christians and, punishing other Muslims and using force, this is totally against the way of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. So, they have been rejected. However, there is disillusioned youth who are angry because the Western powers are still dominating the media, drugs and all the strange things happening within the international culture. They want the opposite. And many times you find the youth, they will rebel against authority and they'll go to the other extreme. So ISIS is grabbing youth, from who want to go to that extreme and actually putting them in harm's way in a dangerous situation, there where they're all actually being killed. And so we are cautioning, the young people, cautioning the society not to get caught up in the hype and in these things which are being said, because Islam is a balanced way of life. And even in a state of war, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, taught a way to regulate war, that you don't kill innocent people, you don't, kill Christians, Jews, you don't destroy synagogues and churches, you don't kill non-combatants. It is a moderate, organized way, even in a wartime situation. So what we're doing is that we are cautioning the young people, don't get caught up in this so-called adventure, because when you get over there, it's going to be a nightmare.
All right. I want to get into some of the tenets of Islam as prescribed by the Quran. A lot of people believe that Islam and Muslims force marriage. You answer that. I mean, when it's a forced marriage, because Muslims are allowed to have more than one wife.
Right.
That is the first thing. And then they say that, for instance, the history shows us that Muhammad, the prophet, was married, one of his wives was 7 years old. I don't know if you know of it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all right. Okay. Tell me what is the view of Islam and forced marriage?
Yeah, marriage is, in Islam has no force. In other words, no woman, no girl or woman can be forced to enter any marriage. According to Islamic law, if the girl says, I don't want this person, the marriage is canceled. What happens is, in certain people's culture, especially you find it in, India and Pakistan and some of the countries there, they, because of their tribal culture, they force their daughters, into the marriage. But that is considered to be un-Islamic. So what is happening is a difference between Islam and difference between the culture.
Yeah, but can a 12-year-old or a 7-year-old have a decision to marry to a big man? I don't understand.
Yeah, you see, we have to put things in proper perspective, because in the time of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, marriage all over the world, not just in Arabia, there was no teenagers. Either a girl is, under puberty, she has not had her periods, or she's a woman. When the periods come, she becomes a woman. That's how it is in those societies. So you will find that, young people, young women in many societies, in Arabia, Africa, and many parts of the world, girls would get young once their periods come. And so in this case, the Prophet was betrothed to her, and the father was involved, the family was involved, the girl, agreed, but he didn't actually, take her in his house and have any relationship.
No, I understand, but wait, I understand both not having sexual anything, but what I'm saying that all right, you just talk about India and those places, but India is also where even they are not Muslims like Hindus. They have a family relationship where the family is deciding for the little girl. I am saying to you that there is a thinking in Islam where a little 10-year-old, 7-year-old girl cannot make a decision about a man, but the family decide for her. I don't know if a little girl at 7 can say no to her parents. I don't know.
Well, I mean, even in the Prophet's time, if the girl cried, right, when she saw the man, it was off. The marriage is canceled. You see, number one, there's over 1 billion Muslims in the world, right? And so if you look at the Muslims of the world, you will see that it is only a tiny minority, where young girls of that age are actually forced into marriage. This is something that does not happen in most of the Muslim world. What does happen is the father is supposed to be the guardian of the girl. So if, a young girl, somebody proposes, to your daughter, right, wants to marry your daughter.
Yeah, a 40-year-old man and a 10-year-old girl.
Right. So I'm saying if somebody wants to marry your daughter, you're supposed to check, you are involved in that. You're supposed to check out the man and see, if he's decent thing, if your daughter wants to be married, to that person. If it is something which is, which is reasonable and can be carried out, then, it is okay. In other words, the parents are involved. Some societies, they have the children just go do what they want to do, and then they come back to the parents later and they say, I'm married. But in Islamic society, the parents are supposed to be involved, with the marriage, of the daughter. Not to force her, but they're supposed to, give guidance, to the daughter or the boy, as to how they should marry the best type of person. So the point I'm trying to say, it's an exaggeration to think that all the Muslims in the world are forcing their daughters, to marry, older men. That is a minority of the people.
But it is permitted in the Islamic culture. It is permitted.
What is permitted is that if a girl reaches puberty, once she reaches puberty, which is, made in some societies, it could be 11, 12 years old, right? Once she reaches puberty, in these societies, and it's not only Muslims who do this, by the way.
No, I know you have African traditions who do it too, but we're talking about the Muslims now. I mean, we know of African traditions where the family, you get 2 cow and 2 ass, and you like a girl, and you have to sustain the family. You're married into the family and all these things. I mean, that is something that happened in Africa. But I'm saying that
South Africa, if you're in Southern Africa, you have to pay lobola.
Yes,
which is 20 cows. Yeah. You must pay 20 cows to get the girl.
Yeah.
It's a lobola, they call it.
What I am talking about now is the idea, for instance, in the Palestine, where they have mass marriages, and you see these big men, and these little 12-year-old girl beside them, and this is a mass marriage of little girls that cannot make a decision about love with a man, but they are given to these men by their family because a need is in the family. The mother and the father cannot afford certain things, and this man come about and say, I will maintain the family for your little 10-year-old daughter.
I'm not exactly sure what you're talking about, but I traveled all throughout the Muslim world. I live with Arabs. And, I haven't seen anything like this.
You have not seen any marriage between big man and little girls?
No, I'm saying that, in some parts of the world, there's no teenager. Either you're a girl or you're a woman. So once she has her periods in these societies, then, it is allowed. In Western societies where Muslim lives, and in many parts, like South Africa and many places, the girl doesn't get married until she's, around 18 or 20 years old, 21 years old, according to, like that. It's not little girls that are being, and if somebody does it, of course, is against Islamic law to force a girl, who's innocent and, into marrying a man who she's going to hate. That's completely against Islam.
All right, we're not talking about, but we're not talking about force now. We're talking about permission. I'm not talking about force here. We're not, we're talking about when a Palestinian man recognize a little girl and he wants that little girl. He's a Muslim and he says he goes to the family. I mean, you have that in African cultures too. We're not talking about Muslim. They go to the mother and the parents and say, this little girl, and because of the need of this family, the family submits to the man innuendos and get the little girl for himself. And this is a little girl. We're talking about 40-year-old man as opposed to a little 10-year-old girl or 12-year-old girl.
Right, but the point I'm saying is that's an extreme. It's the same as in India.
Okay, it's an extreme then.
Poor, they will sell their children. They'll sell their children because they're so poor. So that is an extreme. The Palestinian people in some places have been bombed and destroyed, and they're in an extreme situation in poverty, and but that's not the norm in Islam. That's not a normal Islamic relationship. That's the key point I'm trying to make.
Yeah, but I would say that normal is what Muhammad does. Normal, the Prophet Muhammad was given a 7-year-old girl.
Right, but the thing is that his enemies, right? His enemies in Mecca, they tried to find every single thing that was wrong with him in order to accuse him, right?
No, I'm not accusing it. Wait, no, Bridget.
Listen to the point I'm making. Nobody in Arabia, nobody in Mecca ever said anything about that marriage. Nobody.
Okay,
because at that time in Arabia and all around the world,
it was okay.
If a girl reaches
7,
her puberty, then and the family agrees, it is permissible to get married. So nobody ever attacked him.
No,
we're not in the 20th century.
No, we're I'm not attacking Muhammad, No,
I understand that.
I'm not attacking. I'm trying to get clarity.
Right, but what I'm trying to say is things have to be put into perspective.
Okay.
Like you have to look at the society at the time and the people who are living within that society in order to understand, what is permissible.
Right.
Today, this is something which, in 9 out of 10 cases, people would not even consider this. If somebody came to my house and wanted to marry my 10-year-old daughter, I would either punch him in his face, or he must be crazy. He's out of his mind.
Okay, all right. Tell me something. How much wives a Muslim is allowed to have?
The Quran said what happened was there was a battle. There was a great battle, and many of the men got killed in the battle. So the Quran was revealed over a 23-year period according to circumstances. And because the amount of women was much more than the amount of men, then, Allah revealed in the Quran, you can take 2, 3, or 4, right? As long as you can deal equally in justice with all of these women. If you cannot do justice between all of them, then only marry one. So the majority of Muslims, the overwhelming majority, 95% of Muslims, only marry one wife. I was in, in UE, University of the West Indies, in Kingston, and I was giving a lecture. This is back in 1984, and there's 500 students there, and one of them stood up and said, Mr. Abdullah, how many wives do you have? And the whole place went up, in a roar. And what I said was, the Islamic marriage system would solve many of the sexual problems on this island right now. And everybody was quiet. And they said, how can you say that? And what I said to them is that if somebody wants to get married, I said, I asked them a question. If, do you believe that your husband will have another woman, a baby mother? And they all said, yes. I said, do you believe that this baby mother could have a child? They said, it's possible. I said, what do you want? They said, we want the ring. Okay, we want the ring. I said, okay, so you are allowing him to have other children, and these children, do not have the respect to be openly known, as the children of the father, right? All you want is the ring. I'm saying in Islamic society, if he was to take another woman, he would have to publicly announce that he's married to the woman. The children are his children. He's responsible for those children, right? And he would not be able to sneak around, in the middle of the night and to do that. And I said, I believe if that was instituted here, then, that would stop many of the problems, the social problems that are happening.
Just a minute there. This is the Cutting Edge on RFM. The time is 12 o'clock, midnight. We're talking to Dr. Abdullah Hakim Quick. He's a sheikh, and he is one of the founders of the Islamic Council of Jamaica, and this is deemed Islam awareness. We're just talking about the marriage, and you talk about how you could solve the problems of children relationships with this, what we call, polygamy. Polygamy. But you know that the Judaism permits, more than one wife too.
Of course, the Prophet Solomon, David,
all of them.
They had more than one wife.
All right. Tell Jamaican people, you have some words that people hear all the while, but I don't know if them understand these words, like infidel, jihad, and what is jihad?
Yeah, the word jihad is from the word juhud, which means struggle. So a jihad is when you're struggling against evil. And jihad is on different levels. You have what they call jihad an-nafs, which is, the struggle with yourself. So if a person has to choose between, they see an older woman, they're going to steal her pocketbook or they're going to take her across the street. So that's a jihad. What are you going to do? If you choose to take her across the street, then you have won that struggle. In other words, good was, prevailed over evil. Jihad also is in your family. You clean up your family, clean up your life. Jihad is in your society. You clean up your streets, you clean up your society, you struggle against evil. And another form of jihad is when your country is invaded, by an enemy, and then you are fighting war, right? The concept of holy war, there is no holy war. War is not holy. And so, there's nowhere in the Quran or in the sayings of the Prophet where jihad equals holy war. Jihad only means struggle. And it is something which has been taken out of perspective because the Muslims were one of the groups that resisted in the slavery period. And I have a book called Deeper Roots, and I did a number of, a lot of investigation. Muslims who came in the Atlantic slave trade, they led many of the slave rebellions in the Caribbean. Toussaint Louverture, the great generals, Bookman and Macandal, who started the revolution on the plantations. And then Toussaint took over in Haiti. In Bahia, the Maroons, 1835. In Suriname, in Jamaica, the Manchester Rebellion of 1821. There was an Arabic document being passed around amongst the slaves in Jamaica, and we have documented evidence of this.
Yeah, well, we know that there are a lot of words that the Maroons in Jamaica use that as its genesis in Arabic. A lot of people don't know that, but
that's right.
There's a lot of words that these the Maroons use that is really Arabic. You can check it out. Even Salam Alaikum, they use Salam Alaikum.
That's right. And that's why the concept of jihad means if you were a slave, don't sit down there and allow yourself. Fight back. Struggle against evil. And so therefore, the jihad has been distorted. So people will think that jihad is killing innocent people, but that's not what it is. It's only merely a struggle against evil.
All right. Infidel.
Yeah. Infidel is a Christian word. There is no translation for that in the Arabic language. Because the Christians believed, and this is not the original teachings of Jesus, peace be upon him, but the Christian missionaries from Europe believed that the people they were going to were all going to hell unless they accepted, Jesus under their cross, right? But, Islam, does not have this, because we believe that every person is born as a Muslim. It's their parents that change them around. And we are only bringing them back to their original self, which is submission to the will of God. So the word which is used is kafir, right? That's the word in Arabic. And that means a non-believer, somebody who denies the revelation. But the concept of an infidel means somebody who is evil by nature, right? That they're destined for hellfire. And we don't believe anybody is destined for hell.
So why is it why is it that so much Muslims use that word?
Yeah, because they don't understand English. They don't understand, when you say infidel, you're using a Christian missionary term.
Yeah. All right. I don't know if I should call it the black stone. Can I call it the black stone?
Right. Mm-hmm.
All right. Can you explain to the Jamaican people what is the black stone?
Yes. What we believe is that the Prophet Abraham, peace be upon him, when he came into Egypt with his wife Sarah, she could not have children. And so the Egyptians, who were conquered by a group from Iraq at the time, they gave them a servant woman whose name was Hagar, or Hajar. And according to the Bible, in the Old Testament, Sarah said, take Hajar or Hagar as a wife. So the son that was born, and this is also, in the Old Testament as well, is called Ishmael. So Ishmael, Hagar, and Abraham traveled into the Arabian Peninsula to a desolate valley which is called Becca. And you look in Psalms, and it talks about the word Becca as well, right? So Becca was a valley there, and this is where he left, his second wife. He went back to his wife, Sarah, who was up in the area of Palestine. He was going in between the two places. And so on one of the times when he went into Mecca, he was commanded by God to build a house. So he and Ishmael and the people, they built a house called the Kaaba. And according to our traditions, an angel brought down a stone, from paradise, and it was put in place in the corner of the building. And over time, it changed color. It's not actually black. If you're right on it, I lived there for 7 years. If you're right close to it, it's sort of a, purple type of maroon, brown, darkish. From a distance, it looks like it's black. So they call it the black stone. And it is believed, it is part of the tradition that, when you make your pilgrimage to Mecca, that, that you should go to that stone and, you should kiss it or you should rub it, not to worship, but as part of the ritual, in making your pilgrimage, to Mecca. So this is the Kaaba, which is the square cubicle, house. We pray toward the Kaaba, not to it, right? And the stone is in one of the corners, there in the Kaaba.
All right. You just mentioned about the Armageddon as preached by these ISIL people. Is there a concept of the end of time where all Muslims will be transformed?
Yes. In the teachings of Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, which we believe come from the same source, there's actually similar type of belief, but the players are different. And from our perspective, which we believe is the last perspective, we are taught that, the world will become a really terrible place. Corruption will be all around the land. And then, there will be a man who will be raised up. His name is the Mahdi. And he will, lead, Muslims, in a great struggle. During this struggle, Christians will actually make an alliance with the Muslims. Okay? And they'll be fighting another force, which could maybe something like Russia or something like some other force they'll be fighting.
And that is in the Quran?
No, these are in the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad, in what they call hadith.
Okay.
Right, so these are in his teachings. So then, after a period of time, an Antichrist would appear. And the Antichrist, we believe, is a man, and one of his eyes is, blinded, and he will have a great test on people, and it will be a terrible situation. And during that crisis, a major war is going to break out where the Antichrist is involved, fighting against the forces of Islam and those who are allied to them. During that time, Jesus, the son of Mary, peace be upon him, he will descend from heaven. Because we believe that he was raised, he's alive, and he will come back. And so he will come back, and he will lead the righteous forces against the Antichrist, and he will defeat the Antichrist, and there will be a period of universal peace. And it is said in our teachings that it will be so peaceful at that time that, that the sheep will actually, go to sleep on the lap of the wolf, because there's going to be no fighting at all in the time of Jesus. And then Jesus, when he returns, he will die a natural death, and then there will be some other major signs, Gog and Magog, and some other major signs before the coming of the last day. And so we are right close to, according to our scholars, we're close to the time of international confusion, international corruption, no peace in the land. And, this is the time when, a guided person would come, who is a balanced person, right, to lead the Muslim world. And there's an Antichrist, which is very, very close. Okay? The Jews believe, as you may know, that they must rebuild the Temple of Solomon, and they must get a red cow, a red heifer, and they have to put together a breastplate and a number of things, and they will sacrifice, a special priest will sacrifice this red heifer, there in the Temple of Solomon, and then, their Messiah will appear, and he will lead them, to international victory. Okay, the Christian belief, as you know, some people believe that the Antichrist is like half, the devil who married a woman, and then the Antichrist comes, and then Jesus will appear, and, slay the Antichrist, and then there will be a time of universal peace. So, there are similar players.
Yes.
But we believe that our version is the final version, which is the corrected version of the other ones, right? And actually what's happening in the Middle East now, it's playing right into these signs. The only problem we have is that we have individuals like ISIS who will pop up reading the same book, and they will jump and they'll say, we are the ones. We're the leaders. We're the Khalifa, who is the ruler of the Muslim world. You see, but they don't have the qualifications for this. They're not practicing balanced Islam, but they're jumping up in front of the people's face to make them think that they are the ones who are going to lead, in this international confusion. But the scholars have said very clearly that the time has not yet come, and these people there, they are imposters. They are pretenders. They are not the real, leaders.
To me, ISIL is like the Ku Klux Klan in the Christian form. Where ISIL use Islam, the Ku Klux Klan use Christianity to project their racism against Jews and black people. So ISIL is also, because what the ISIL is actually doing is killing Muslims. What the Ku Klux Klan is doing is killing Christians, who claim to be Christians. So it's maybe two of them should join forces, man.
Yeah, I mean, and these are two extremes. Like, we're caught in between these two extremes.
Yes.
And the ISIL is even more dangerous than the Ku Klux Klan. Because at least when you see the Ku Klux Klansman and he's got his hood on and he's burning the cross, you know who he is. But ISIL is coming like they're a good, force. They're helping people, but they're actually, a devil in disguise.
All right, well, we hope that people even get a little insight of this Islam. What is happening? I said that you had a series of functions that take place already, but tell the people then what will be happening today, which is Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yes, what is happening, I was supposed to come to Jamaica myself.
Okay.
But unfortunately, I had been traveling in Black History Month, and I traveled so much I got exhausted and I got really sick. So I was not able to come. But other speakers have come in.
Right.
This is called Islam Awareness Week. 3 programs have happened. The final 2 major programs is a public lecture, which will be held at Port Maria Community Center on Saturday the 25th, and that will be from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. On Sunday the 26th will be a public lecture at the Jamaica Conference Center, and also that will be from 2 to 4. For more information, you can contact the Islamic Council of Jamaica. Their local phone number is 310-8100, or 928-1771.
All right,
Jamaica.
Yeah, what is a khutbah? A khutbah?
A khutbah is a sermon. So the khutbah is given on Fridays, because Friday is our holy day. And so the sermon is given. The people make the prayers. They have a community gathering, and then they can go back to work. It's not like a Sabbath where you got to take the whole day off. But it's a period of time in the midday when you must go and listen to this sermon. So it's like a speech.
Yeah, we want to say give thanks to the moment, give thanks for you to really take the time out to really explain to the Jamaican people some insights into Islam, and we hope that your interview here will help to awaken the people as separate what is Islam and what is ISIL. We hope that can separate itself.
Yes, and in the future, you can contact me at any time, either directly, you have my phone number, or through the Islamic Council of Jamaica, because I have traveled extensively in Africa. I have been to the pyramids. I have knowledge of the ancient pyramids and what happened in those days. I've been to the great Zimbabwe. I've lived in South Africa. I've lived in Nigeria. I've traveled to 61 countries. And I'm your humble brother with a Caribbean background. So feel free to call me at any point to discuss different topics concerning African history and concerning Islam.
Well, give thanks.
Yes.
Give thanks for them that the 5th annual Dispoem Words and Agro Festival will be kept on Sunday, which is this Sunday, April the 26th in Portland, a place called the Neville Anthony Park, right there in the center of Port Antonio. And it is a free event. That is the Dispoem 5th annual Dispoem World Agro Festival. Years I've been playing this song for Mother's Day. For those of you who listen to the Cutting Edge regular, you know that anytime Mother's Day come around, we usually play this song. Well, I want to tell you, this song here, right now, take on to a different mindset, a different feeling. After I played this song for so much years, this song here now, the words have a total different connection right now, for I personally.
Yes, Ian Muta, Mandingo.
Yeah, me know how you, man. How you do, man?
Yeah, man, everything is everything. Greetings this Thursday morning at the 23rd of April 2015.
Yeah.
Amen, Ra, be praised.
Yeah, man.
I was listening to the Sheikh. Yes, and I had to make some notes, And I totally agree with what you said. Questioning about Prophet Muhammad of Islam marrying a 7-year-old. Because as far as I'm concerned, whether Muhammad or anyone, a child of 7-year-old, that's a child. And there can be no marriage between an adult man and a 7-year-old or a 10-year-old girl, irrespective of any so-called family who say that they allow that and that type of thing. In any age and any time. That is wrong. Talking about the context of things is rubbish at that age. Because I heard him saying that in that time they're talking about a girl reaching puberty in terms of having seen her period and that type of thing. Even with a girl seeing her period at a young age, whether 10, 11 or 12, because different girls start the period at different times, it is still wrong. And I don't care who the individual is as a man, or what religion or what race they belong to. And when it comes on to African, Europeans also practice this type of thing too. When you read European history, not just in Africa, or with Arabs and that type of thing. You have Europeans and other races of people who practice this type of child oppression. It's totally wrong. And then the next thing that I noticed that he was saying is that when he was in Jamaica some years ago, and they asked him how many wives he had, and he was explaining that with the Muslim religion they can have up to 4 wives, but what he omitted was that they can have up to 4 wives and concubines. And not only that too, one must remember that we Africans, thousands of years before Arabs, Europeans and so on, we practiced polygamy of having more than one wife, but it was based on the fact that he had to be able to cater to the needs of each wife. So this is not an Arab Islamic thing. Africans had been practicing that. And he said something which was totally wrong, trying to say that Toussaint Louverture in Haiti, Macandal, who is from Trinidad, and Bookman and so on, they were not Muslims. They were Africans that didn't practice any Muslim religion. The religion of Bookman is voodoo. It's voodoo which the Muslims fight against.
Yeah, wait, hold on. You know, say, when him say it, I kind of get distracted with the computer here, so, you know, because I didn't really want... I didn't want to mention it to him, you know, but then when I come forward, him does it again, and then I say, well, you know, say, you have words from Arabic in the Maroons. But one of the things where I really want to say, pertaining to the Arab influence from West Africa, is that it is the Arab influence from West Africa. When you hear man attack the Africans, sell out Africans, a lot of the chief them was Arab influence, Muslim influence, and them never see other, the ones them who were Muslims, never see the other Africans them as part of them. You know, like what Christian not say.
No. It's you're perfectly right.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, the Africans who became Muslims fought against other Africans and enslaved them. And they
Africans.
Them Arab Muslim co-religionists. This is what happened. This is what they do. They impose their religion by the sword on our people, and we still have the problems.
Well, a whole heap of people don't know, say, the reason why you have Arab words amongst the Maroons is because the Arab influence was so deep in West Africa, coming through from Tunisia, through Morocco, through Mali, through down to Sierra Leone, Guinea, to Ghana, to Ivory Coast. Yes. All of them was influenced.
Wars of invasion.
Yeah, and when them get capture, when them capture these Africans who were not Muslims, them never see them as part of Muslim. Because, you know, when a Muslim become a Muslim, you know, him is more nationalistic to Islam than to him African tribe. You know, in a Senegal, and in a which part them people there, where Muslim there, they are more towards their religion than towards them nationality. So them actually, that's why them give up them name. Because I was trying to put the crowd up point, you know, today. Them give up them African name and choose Arabic name.
Exactly.
Because they now swear allegiance and alliance
to the Arab Muslims.
To this Arab idea.
Muslims.
Yeah.
Yes. And you know what? They're no different from those Africans who swear allegiance to the Europeans and Christianity over them own African religions. It's the same type of characters. It's just that some bow and serve the interests of the Arab Muslims, while some other Africans bow and serve the interests of the European Christians. And both of them have been used in the past and still to invade and enslave other Africans on behalf and for the Europeans and the Arabs. And I'm totally against that. And they fight against voodoo and any African religion. But you notice he doesn't mention that. But you notice one of the things that he said was that Islam, Christianity, and Judaism are the same religions, but they just have different players. He's right.
No, when I say them have the end game is the same, but it's like so many leads, 1 3.
Players.
Yes. So many leads. Wait, watch out. You must understand, say, the whole of them root come from this idea of Abraham, you know. Christianity, Judaism, and Islam come from Abraham. But apart from that, still within the level, within the consciousness, you know, when the gist of the conversation was to separate ISIL from Orthodox Islam, because I know, say, most of Islam is not ISIL thinkers. And there's a need in Jamaica right now to make people understand. Say, if somebody say them is Islam, you're not going to hunt them and say them connected to ISIL. You know, see, and that is really what the awareness was. The awareness is that Jamaican, because right now we have a problem with a little youth who get turned back from Suriname. I don't know if you hear about it.
Yes, man, I know about that.
Yeah, and them say they're going to join ISIL. All right, now
yes, I know that.
What we are trying to rectify right now in Jamaica, because the propaganda can get so weird that people start to witch hunt Islam, Muslim people in Jamaica, and we don't want that. So that the reasoning for the awareness is to sensitize the Jamaican people that the Muslims, them, it don't necessarily mean because you're a Muslim. You are weak.
That you're a member of ISIL. Or Boko Haram.
That is really the reason. So we can actually debate over the tendencies and the philosophies of Islam. But what we was trying to do actually was to clarify this connection that people always get. Say, if you're a Muslim, you're a terrorist. You know them really? Because them they say that with Jamaican too, you know, when you go to airport, I have a blue passport. Them say, boy, you sell ganja or something. You know them?
Yes, we know that. The stereotyping thing. I understand that, you know. But the point that I am making is that he was still using, both by commission and by the omission of facts, of the role of Arab Muslim imperialism against Africans in Africa and outside of Africa.
Yeah.
And the role of Arab Muslim imperialism is just as evil as the role of European Christian imperialism against the African race.
I agree with you.
That is the point.
I agree with you.
That is why they can't take and that is why they can't take a Marcus Garvey African, because we stand as Africans knowing that we don't bow to no European, no Arab, nor their religions. It's as simple as that. And we remember that we have our books, The Destruction of Black Civilization by Chancellor Williams, that document the role of the Arabs with their Islam religion and the Europeans with their Christianity. The books of Cheikh Anta Diop from Senegal with the same thing, and our other African, like Dr. Joseph Ben Yochanan, who constantly educated us about what Arab Muslim imperialists and European Christian imperialists have done to our people. So we have to keep our people reminded of these facts, because we remember no Maroons came to Jamaica. It's Africans who come to Jamaica. And the presence of words in English that we as Africans in the Western Hemisphere use is because of the enslavement and attacks on our people. And so the use of words by some Africans that are Arabic is due to the same type of invasion and enslavement by these racist Arab Muslim imperialists. And as you and I know, Muta, a lot of Africans, when they take on non-African religions and cultures, they become more fanatical than the Arabs and the Europeans themselves against their own people in killing and raping and enslaving them. You and I know this. And we have to always guard against this, my brother, and my African people are listening worldwide. So I am glad that, you know, I was able to hear the Sheikh, and I will never be Muslim, I will never be Christian. My religion is African traditional religion that both the European, that both Christians and Muslims are against. They fight against it, no matter how hypocritically they come out and pretend that, oh, they allow people to have their own beliefs and so. You get them where they're in a position where they can fight and try to stamp out your African religion. They will do so. These Arab Muslims and their Negro converts and these similar Negro converts for these European Christian imperialists. They are all enemies of African race.
Yes, sir.
I, Mandingo, the African, said that.
Give thanks.
And I want them to know that. Not all of us are fools.
Yeah.
And will be fooled by them.
Give
okay?
thanks. Yeah, give thanks.
Give thanks, my brother.
Yeah.
Keep on doing the good work. Africa for the Africans.
Those are two
not for no
abroad.
Arabs or no Muslims. Or no Europeans or no Christians.
All right. Yes. Yes, you know, I agree with Mandingo, but I hope him get the gist of how me I conduct the interview, because we share a lot of sentiments with Mandingo. The interview was not a confrontational. I never want to bring up a confrontational interview, because I want the brethren show what him really work with under this pressure of ISIL on him back. We know that ISIL is a problem when it comes on to the construction of what the brethren is trying to do. And my job was to make him put Islam into perspective outside of this ISIL thinking. You know, because we know how people stay. You have witch hunts, you know, like people start to say, see a Muslim there, you know, them man, they are terrorists, you know, them really. Because we as Rasta, we can't deny the fact that we as Rasta go through that in Jamaica. You know, see a Rasta man there, me have woman stand up a gate with them picnic, and me I walk from Young Street in a Montego Bay. I come from country with plant and thing. Just come off of the train. And when me I go down the road, me a woman say, come in, see a Rasta man I come down the road there. And at them thing the Rasta go through for years. So we understand the levels. You know, maybe next time we can call him and talk about him ideas, but when he talk about all toysant. You know, that's the only part of the interview where I say I never really confront him with. You know, I never really confront him with it. I should have really confront him with it. I never should make him get to with that at all. At all. But as I say, it's Islam Awareness Week, and we want the people them aware. You know, we want the people them aware. I know him say some things where all the people never know. And I asked him some things where all the people never ever know, say, right, them think they have answer Rasta. You understand? So, yes, it's Coach name. A brethren named Teut 9 will be featured on this weekend, this poetry festival. I will mention this poetry festival in Port Antonio this Sunday. Start 10 o'clock in the morning. Yes, and go until about 7 o'clock. Well, the brethren named Teut 9, we always play on this program. I think it's the first time I go perform in Jamaica. Yeah. Great poet. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Cutting edge or drive wedge, making them steep edge, set them by edge, train them out as dregs. So I'm big brother.
Yeah, I'm there, man.
I will love to hear you, man. Man, you miss you the other day, but me still hear you Africa talk still.
Yeah, well, me still do the program, so you couldn't miss me, man. I'm there at the program still.
Well, me miss you being in Jamaica, but me got your voice was here, really.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Yeah, so anyway, how's Sister Jackie?
Oh, she?
Yeah.
She all right, man. You want to talk to her?
Yeah, man.
Eh?
See the boat?
Call her for her phone. Call her for her phone.
Oh, yeah, man, he call her. Yeah, man, come here, the thing, you know.
The yam thing?
Yeah.
We don't say you are the yam lady still, you know.
I'm a young lady, you call me a young queen.
Yam queen, all right, yam queen.
Yeah, right. So they have farm like you know, because I guess I know we have farm good and things.
Yeah, tell you, so where you have down there? Tell me where you have down there.
Well, right, you know, Nesbury, you love so much.
Nesbury?
We have that.
But them not ripe up before me get none, man. Me not.
Me not can get it, man. I'm a plant up enough.
You come a Portland Sunday?
No, sir.
So you're not going to do some mic, when them call it open mic. Them have open mic up there, you know.
Today was Saturday, today was Wednesday.
Today Thursday, man.
Thursday, tomorrow Friday. I'm not sure, maybe. Look for me or not look for me?
Me not look for you, at Sunday. You know, last. If you did last, I would have look for you, but me not look for you, you know, last.
Right, I mean, don't know, so I can't last.
That may I say.
Anyway, man, because the rest of the people, all the people in the world, and Muta for the children, them, and for Christ, them day and night. Muta, me, I feel pain.
They not feel pain when, they not feel pain when them mother dead. They not feel pain when the mother them dead too. And the father, you know, feel pain when the mother and the father them get shot too.
Yes, but the people, them little people, them innocent and not trouble nobody, and people are killing little people and rape them and them suck them out of them vulnerable. We have to talk about them first. Them innocent, them little. Them can't help themselves. Yeah. Oh my, we need to do better with the little children. Them. Yes, we don't need to kill nobody at all, neither big nor little. And then when you say we, I talk myself, you know, myself, we should say we murder of them. We need to kill off the innocent people, then we need to leave people alone. And the same people that are killing, the same people that help them tomorrow morning. Out of some problem or the other, help somebody see them.
But if them kill the people, them can't help them tomorrow morning. No, you mean the same people them kill? Or you mean if the same people them kill and the same people them are going to help them tomorrow? Help them tomorrow morning if them need help. Okay. If they never kill them. All right. You have to kill people. You have to kill people for. You have, I mean, if they want to rob, because you're hungry and that's a desperate and you have to rob, but not kill people. Why murder people? Why kill somebody who could be there for you tomorrow? The next day you rise up, it's the same person could be there if you never kill a person. And you need some help and I would have to help you out. So I mean, they don't have to kill anybody. If you have to rob and you rob and go on, but leave people alone that they survive so you can get them to rob next time. You know, if you have to rob, you know. All right, Mama.
You know, I'm sorry for it. And for those children that they murdered in Clarendon, I want to extend my condolences to those family. And
I'm sorry for the murder. We are take place in Jamaica.
Yeah, I'm agree for that because
you know where I find the problem in Jamaica. You know where I find with Jamaica. 4 people dead over there, so everybody grieve for the people them over there. So 4 women get raped over there, so everybody grieve for the 4. What?
Look, we see everything right now.
But that man said no, because right now we can't differentiate the murder them and the killing right now. You know, killing, murder. We just have to say we have to try to figure out what the hell is going on in this blood-led country.
You know what Living syndrome, Muta. You don't know that to see how them set it.
Yeah, but if I Willie Lynch, I do not say.
Yeah, you can probably overstand and you know, eradicate yourself from it and try to live above certain things. But some people are so vulnerable, they can't help themselves, you know, so them just get carried away.
Well, we have to go get to them. We have to go get to them people there right now. We have to get to them. Yeah? Anyway, we have to move your door.
Yeah, give love and thanks.
Yeah, give thanks. Yes, you know, I don't know if it's callous, you know, but every time something terrible happening in Jamaica, we all sent upon that something. Like say the first we're going to hear about them something there. I know the first we hear 4 you dead in our 4 people dead in our rape and all them something. I know the first we hear about it. We hear about it regular, but we keep like in awe. How could that happen? And it did happen yesterday. What happened the other day? It happened 2 years ago, 3 years ago, last week. All of them things that didn't happen all the while. So if we wait till the things scare we are frightened with so much, that we have to now start prayer, we have to start think what we are going to do, and all that. We must think about that from the mere fact that the thing happen continuously in the country. We're going to figure out what we do now about 4 people were dead around, and then 2 weeks time you hear about 5 people get. Remember the man when them shoot up along Westmoreland, the group of people we get shot down at Westmoreland there. And some man still on a bar play domino and a man just pass and shoot 4 people. Somebody all of them things they are happening in Jamaica. I will insist to go focus on that specific thing. And now we're going to pray for the people them. We're going to pray for the 3 youth them were dead. We're going to do all sorts of things. And the police are going to intensify the manhunt. And the manhunt must intensify from the beginning, from the offset. There shouldn't be anything left to do to catch the criminal. Because we should have already had the things them in place to catch the criminal. So if we hear say the police have to do something else to deal with that situation, therefore they was lacking in the other things them that took place before this thing happened. Me can't trust them. Me cannot trust them. Because them are react. It's that they are proactive, they are reactive. They are reacting to things as it happen. When them should be setting up things in place for it not to happen. And we can't say a man can't stop every murder in a Jamaica. Because you don't know when a man and a woman are fighting at the house, and you know the Minister of National Security can't figure out, say, boy, you know, so the man and the woman they are going fighting at them house, and the one they will kill the one, and therefore we have to go there to stop it. We understand that. But there's too much bloodletting in Jamaica. Too much bloodletting in Jamaica that we are reacting to each individual bloodletting when we should be having things in place to prevent so much. None at all, you know, because it would be ridiculous to say we live in our country and nobody not going to murder nobody. But there is too much murder taking place in Jamaica. You understand? And we can't. No, we're going to pray for the 4 people. We're going to pray for the 4 people that were dead down at Clarendon. One to last year when the year before and the year before, when the woman, when the police shot the pregnant woman in a St. Thomas and her baby all in her belly, them kill both the baby and the woman. We're going to pray for them. The 4 women them with them murder, including the 8-year-old little picnic with them rape down at Irving. We're going to pray for them. The man them will sit down at the, I mean, how much prayer we cannot pray, sir? But individual little pockets of death and destruction will take place. How much prayer can we pray for do that? When we should have set things in place. Everyone away responsible for set things in place so that certain things come down, it drop. We can't continue to react to things that just happened yesterday. And what the thing that happened the day before yesterday? So what happened now? We forget about the thing that happened the day before yesterday. So we stop pray about the thing that happened the day before yesterday and I pray for the thing that happened today. And then tomorrow something else happened now. We say, all right, why you want to say that one the worst and the one that happened yesterday, and we could pray for the one that happened now. A madness. It's like somebody having some serious madness, Rasta. A direct madness are going on. The Prime Minister go down at the place and I cry. Every day in a Jamaica, right now, you have gruesome murder. It's not the first murder with 4 people dead. One time. It's not the first. It's not the second. It's not the third. The Prime Minister go down there and a ball with camera upon her, like, yes, all right, everybody see it on TV. It's madness. It's madness. We're all traumatized, man. We're living in a bloodlet country, man. There's blood running more than water in Jamaica. There's no shortage of blood. Blood everywhere. And we always react. What is it that when the policeman say that, all right, not even the policeman, you know. We could go back to our last year when the minister said that they are now putting things into place where we will now see a lessening in crime because the police is now putting things into place that will prevent a lot of the criminal activity that was taking place before. The only, you know what them are worried about? All them are worried about is the scammer them are mobile. Because you know, the scammer them are mobile has scammed some American and them know say if them continue to make that happen, Obama now go love them. So them have to focus on scamming. All them have focus on scamming. Watch out. We can't allow these little boy who used to go university or high school if we go take a computer go scam some old American, you know. Because our American partners not going to like it. So them focus, all them effort is on scammer, because the scamming also bring death and destruction. What is it that we are proactive about and not reacting to? People said rat trap for rat. So, you see a rat run up and down like your house. You don't want him to continue to run up and down like your house. So you do something to prevent him from keep running up and down like your house. So you're proactive. Because really and truly, you did have a thing set already. you are reacting to something that happened before. So in order for it not to happen again, you're going to set something to prevent it from happening again. In a Jamaica, we ball about something that happened before. We don't do nothing about it. And then when it's something that happen again, you go in the kitchen and you say, the rat go in your food where you just cook. And you say, rat, you didn't know, so the rat go in my food where you just cook. And then the next day you go put back your food there again. And the rat in your mouth your food again. You say, boy, every day the rat come in my food. No. You don't know, so the rat are in your house and then you have your food. You poison the food that the rat dead. You know, come around the corner now, come and pray. Only not to say the prayer now work. You know, say the more the prayer, the more the thing I get wicked. Only not say that. Because the people them in power don't understand that there are certain things that they're supposed to deal with. And if them don't deal with those things, it's going to continue. You're going to be totally reacting to everything. You're reacting every time you react. It's not going to help nothing. Because you don't have something just already. One happen. And the next time it happen, you forget say the one that happened before you say, watch out now, you see that one happen there? We're going to try and make two not happen, you know. And sometimes the two escape, you know, but you say, alright, so the two escape, you're going to try and make three escape. But here we know, one happen, we try and make the two not happen, we try and make the three not happen, but every time you try to go down the line, all of them things there did happen. So, me don't know. Because that's all we see going on now. Weeping and wailing from Jamaican people. A pure weeping and wailing are going. Pure weeping and wailing. Yes.
Here.
Blessed.
Mota.
May I listen?
Yeah, man. I weeping and wailing, man. Boy, people now wake up, you know. They now see what going on. But anyway, still more give their thanks for the work and everything and the message and, you know, a black power say all the way through in the motor.
Yeah, that's what I said too.
Yeah, man, we don't really care about Caucasian or what they want to say, you know.
Alright, so may I ask you a question now. Now, how black power are going to solve this thing, you know, with this thing? Yeah, the daughter just called and said, I pray for the four little people every day down there. So how black power will save it now?
First, you would have said, prayer not work, you know, over the years.
So tell me what can work. Tell me what can work now. Suggest something.
Education. You have to educate the youth and the people and make them aware about what's going on within the society and economize. You know, we need to issue more land. Rasta need to organize and buy out the land them and, you know.
Wait no man, hold on no man. You see, I put it for a little individual group of people, you know. I talk about we as well, you know.
We as a people,
Rasta for those, Christian for those. Tell me, say, me say, me never say, Rasta or Christian, you know, what Christian are going to do and Rasta go.
Generally, Jamaica.
Yeah. We are, because right now, Jamaica is a bloodletting country. It come like me there, me don't know, me never go to Iraq yet, but it come like when me are hear about to go on in Iraq. And we in a war. Nobody now attack we. America now send no band down here to blow we up. The Cuban them now send no band down here to blow we up.
America want free, you know, because a little teenager youth there, which...
No, but don't divert from me. Bridget, don't divert from me. Ask me say, how can we help? Just
all right. We need to look back to Marcus to have the leadership and farm or elect certain leaders who can bring forth this change. You see what I say? So we have to get a leader who the people can look to, cause you know Jamaica people them have this favor thing, so they don't really like they not elect them, so
they not see them elect two party.
No man, in party and then two party are cause the disruption and
so which part them will get the people them where you talk about from?
Them people in Jamaica, man, we need some people to demonstrate. We need to form like a party so we can enlighten the people and what go on. So that party will be elected by the people and when the people see what go on by how the party present the demonstration and them thing there, you see me?
Alright, sir. Alright.
Yeah man, I just in Africa talk here, you know. All the way from Engman town, you see me?
Alright, sir. Me can't see you though, but be alright.
Yeah, what me I say today is still, and I really in a regular talk me I get there and all who are listening out worldwide. guys them need to wake up and see what go on in Jamaica. We the rest of the world are wait and start the revolution. You see me I say? So
the world are wait the hold on. The world are wait for we to start revolution.
Yeah, me not talk.
Which part of the world are we?
You know,
which part of the world are wait for we to start revolution? Which part? Tell me.
Because right now reggae is the message, you know. Reggae is the gospel where we awaken humanity, you know. So. And
right now we no Jamaican down here for the killing stop. Right now we no Jamaican down here.
Well, you see a man never be a hero.
It's a wait white people for go make money and fight. But right now awaken the people them down here so. That the criminality.
Too far to them motor rat. You see, make them set the thing away where tourist board I get the whole of the money and some private investors. You see me? And some Virgin Islands boy come in and buy out the thing and be a thing. So the people don't know what go on. So where
you say the world are wait for them? The world now wait for no Jamaican people for do nothing, man. Where you say, man? I lose and Jamaican, you know. Where them feel said the world are wait for we for go start revolution. The revolution guy run left way, just like the power, the ganja run left way and the music run left way.
Motor, leadership.
Anyway, we're gone.
Hold on.
No, me not hold on nothing.
Alright, this is what I say. Give me a next minute.
Yeah,
we need the ones them in a society who the people them look to. Like the musician them, the reggae musician them can come and build a political party.
But you ever ask musicians to go form political party? Because a man has sing, because a man has hold on there.
And that's why you say we are.
Yeah, but wait now. You feel that a man has sing about Jesus and believe in Jesus?
You're not about Jesus.
Yes, no, me never.
Socialization of black people.
You feel that you are reggae artist and sing about social issues. Him really deal with social issues?
Maybe he does things to make him money, but at the end of the day, the problem will reach him doorstep or him family doorstep, or later on and him dead and gone, the problem still are there. Black people are feeling it.
Well, don't get disillusioned by reggae artists and music, here, Bridget, because right now, man sing and man sing.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, don't get disillusioned. Anyway, we're gone here. Yes, this is the Cutting Edge.